game time decision. Dude, it made it look so much more sultry and dope. Hey guys. So today I wanted to talk about how to build an eyeshadow look. I feel like I've touched on this a little bit occasionally, but I know that it can be really difficult for people, so that's what we're gonna do. Get up in here. All right, the first thing I'm gonna do is prime my lids. I'm gonna use the new Dominique Cosmetics Everlasting Eye Base. This guy? I have a code with them if you're interested. I don't know. I can't even remember how much it gets you off. Maybe like 10% or something. It's down there somewhere. That has a nice like yellow tint, so it's going to help, you know, cancel out discoloration, especially if it's like purpley on your lids, which I have. My eyelids have also been peeling on the inner parts, so let's just, we're gonna pretend that's not happening. Okay, so let's talk about an eye palette. So I would say that a lot of eyeshadow palettes nowadays are sort of like set up so that you have like a natural progression as far as, you know, lights to darks, matte to shimmer, depending on like what kind of a look you're trying to create. This is the new Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette. I don't even know if I can, this is so big, I don't even know if I can get it in here. So we have like a nice array of mattes from, like I said, light to dark. We also have some pop-in lid shades, some shimmer that you may do what you will. So if you squint at this, that's a really great way to see how the colors compare. So like if I squint, this is pretty light, this is pretty light, this is probably like a step up, and then we've got like this brown shade, this green shade are probably like a step up, and then we've got like this green, this brown, a step up from that, and then the black is the darkest shade. So that's an important thing to know when you are trying to blend and also sort of like build a look. Typically, I'm assuming that you've heard of a transition shade, which is usually a color. It doesn't have to be neutral, but it's usually something that is like a couple shades darker than your skin tone. Maybe a shade or two, something like along those lines. And really all that does is create like a base for you to blend into. And typically you place this in your crease. Wow, so much peeling. This is the worst day to film this. Oh, let's get back in here. Oh wait, actually, let me show you a couple more palettes. So this is the Vanity Makeup palette. This is a really great neutral palette. It's pretty expensive, it's $95. Pretty dope though. Beautiful shimmers on the left side, and then once again, this is a lot easier to see actually with this palette. They're right in a line. So, you know, light to dark, obviously. So if you just kind of like squint and decide which one might be like a couple shades darker than your skin tone, you can start off with that one in the crease. Another option, this is a new palette from Dominique Cosmetics that I have not played with yet today, and we might. Once again, beautiful shimmers up here, and then you have your nice mattes. So light, and then you've got these kind of like mid-tones, and you have like a slightly more, I would call this like a mid, but it's like slightly darker mid-tone brown, so that you have some versatility as far as building up that look. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you don't have a great transition shade, there are so many palettes, to be completely honest. Like Pat McGrath has this problem. A lot of the mattes are just like dark. So if you're like white, like me, you might need something that's a little bit lighter. If you're like, you have medium tone skin or even deep tone skin, then you have a lot more versatility there, or it's just gonna be a little bit easier, you know, because it's gonna be a little bit closer to your skin tone. Or you'll have colors that are closer to your skin tone, whatever. If you're super duper fair, you might want to consider using something like your bronzer or your contour, depending on if you're trying to go for like cool toned versus warm toned. So today I want something that's going to be like kind of neutral. So since the Dominique, I'm going to use this just because it's super dope. I would say that these run a little bit more warm, the mattes, but I want to start off with something that's going to be a little bit more neutral in my crease to start creating a little bit of definition. So I'm gonna start off with my, I've said start so many times, Wayne Goss Radiance Boosting Face Palette. This is the color that I used to contour today. Now, when you're creating an eyeshadow look, the first thing that you want to consider is, what am I trying to achieve here? It's gonna be completely different. If you're like, I just wanna play with color, maybe you just put one color, maybe you just put bright teal all over the lid, just to play, okay? I love that, first of all. Maybe just put a pop of, dude, I don't know if you saw the Grammys last night. I didn't, but I did see the photo of Lil Nas X rocking one of my favorite ways to rock color, pop of blue in the inner corner. Oh, so dope. Anyway, so when I look at my eyes, when I'm trying to create an eyeshadow look, typically I like to start with the structure, the base. So when I look at my eyes, I have slightly hooded lids, meaning this part of my eye, God, it's gotten so much worse as I've gotten older. This part of my eye folds over my lid a little bit. Not that this is like a bad thing or anything, but if I'm just looking straight ahead, this part can look, because it sort of like comes forward a little bit more and it hangs over my eyelid a little bit. It's larger and it's also hit with the light a little more. So this part comes forward quite a bit, which means it can drag my eyes down, you know, which I don't love, to be completely honest. So something that I like to do is create the illusion that my like crease goes in here, like up here, which is going to create a little bit more definition to my eye socket, and it's going to push this area back and make it look a little less droopy. So that's what I pretty much always start off doing. So I'm going to use the Rememeber 1 brush. I'm going to swirl into that contour shade, tapping off. And I'm going to take that color literally right above that fold, okay? Because I have a lot of room to work with up here. If you don't, then you want to use a much smaller brush. You might not have this problem. So I'm going to start by building this area, literally right in here. If you look like in here, I have pretty deep set eyes. They're also a little bit close set. So I tend to get darkness in here, so I don't need to take that color all the way in there. Actually, just placing this color like right out here kind of helps to put it on the same plane as this. So I'm gonna start blending this. And then it's like, what shape do I wanna create? Do I just want something round? Do I wanna connect it down? Do I kind of wanna create a little bit of swoop? I love a swoop. I usually will wing it a little bit and kind of meet it with my temple, which just gives your eye a little bit of a lift. So that's how I'm gonna start. Also, how you hold your brush really makes a difference. If I'm holding it like this, I'm gonna get more precision up here. If I'm holding it down, I'm going to get a little more precision this way. And the brush is gonna kind of do the blending for me. This is a tip I tell people all the time, but I always forget to follow myself. Till right now. This is very misleading. I never do this. All right, now, can you see that difference? Is that crazy? Does it not look like this part of my, like this eye is just like, I mean, to be completely honest, I do have a little bit of a lazy eyelid over here, but this part is just like dragging my eye down. So we've created a little bit, we've sort of cheated, right? We've created a little bit more of a lift there. So that's where I like to start off because that's where my definition is. That's where I want my definition to be. I'm gonna use a slightly more concentrated blending brush. This is the Sigma, this is new, Sigma Medium Tapered Blender E49 brush. So it's like close-ish to the same size, but it's a little bit more tapered and pointed at the top. Now I'm going to dip into Essential, which is this nice, like warm mid-tone brown. I call it a mid-tone brown. To some of you, this might be like light as fuck, but you know, we're white, so that's what we're going by. Why am I so oily in my T-zone? So I'm going to I'm gonna tap the tip of the brush into Essential. Something to keep in mind is always tapping off your brush. I'm using a color that is slightly darker than the first color that I went in with. So that means that I'm going to be creating a little bit more depth in whatever area I place this in, whether it's like right in here, whether it's like out here. I'm gonna be creating a lot more concentration and a little bit more of a shadow in that area. So since I'm sort of like going in this like sort of triangular swoopy direction, I'm going to place this right in the center where I place that first transition shade. So I'm kind of, and then I'm gonna bring it back to my lower lash line. So I'm kind of using this to create a little bit more dimension. Now, if you're not entirely sure where to place these colors, then, you know, using your like eye crease as a guide is a really simple way to do it. And you can kind of just like use your brush, poke in. You'll feel it go in a little bit kind of around your eyeball, and that'll help you, you know, create a little bit of a guide. So I'm using a very light hand. I'm just gonna build up that definition a little bit. And I'm holding my brush very straight on so that I'm keeping that color right there. And then as I go back and forth, those tapered bristles are gonna do the blending for me. Now I'm gonna use an even smaller brush. This is once again a Sigma. This is the E42 Precision Firm Blender brush. I'm going to pick up the slightly darker brown shade. This is the darkest brown shade called Elevated. Swirling my brush in there, really tapping it off so that I don't get fallout. And I'm going to keep this going in that same area. Once again, we're slowly building up that contrast. So connecting it to my lash line. Now, since I'm getting a little bit more detailed, if I want to, if I feel like I want a little bit more definition, I can bring it down here, kind of connect it into my inner corner. Depends on like how much you want. Always making sure to kind of like blend back into those original shades. So I decided that I want it to be a little bit more defined. So I just went in with a slightly more concentrated amount in the exact same place, doing the exact same thing, just kind of like these slow, circular motions. You can do like windshield wiper motions, circular motions, whatever you think blends best. Now, if you feel like that got, if it needs a little bit of blending or whatever, you can take that, whatever was the last brush that you used, and just go in and do a little bit of blending right over top. You don't need any additional product. Okay, so we're creating that nice definition around the crease of the eye. We're pushing this whole area back. All right, let's talk about the lower lash line first. Now, as far as anatomy goes, I really like to kind of like darken my whole lower lash line because this part tends to like come out quite a bit and it can kind of like accentuate dark circles. If I make that darker, it sort of pushes it back in space and it just minimizes that area. It makes my under eye look a lot more flush with my lower cheek, and it just makes it look like less protrudy, basically. I will typically like use my contour shade and run that all along my lower lash line if I'm pretty much only doing a neutral shadow look, but I don't know if I'm necessarily gonna do that today. So instead, I'm actually gonna start off with the darkest shade and I'm gonna put that super close to the outer part of my lower lash line. So I'm starting off with this like kind of flat brush. I'm gonna use the tip of it. I'm gonna dip into Elevated, that dark brown, and I'm going to run this right on the, well, it was way too much. I'm gonna wipe off my brush. It was way too much shadow. Right on the outer corner, kind of connecting it up to the shadows that we used before. And then I'm just going to buff it out. I'm gonna try to keep it on the like outer half of the eye. So doing this, placing this dark shade here, kind of helps to like continue that lift. The direction that everything is going right now is kind of like that. It's gonna create a much more round look if I take it all around my lower lash line or all throughout, because it's gonna be defining that whole area. Like this creates a little bit more of a tilt up to my eye rather than taking it like all the way in. Okay, so right now we have like a pretty classic eye look, I would say, where we have like a nice light lid, we have a nice light inner corner, we have everything kind of like going in this direction, right? But I want to switch this shit up, man, because I don't want it to be boring. So something to keep in mind is play. Like play with your eyeshadow, man, especially if you're like going with neutrals. So now what I want to do is I want to elevate it. I want it to be a little bit more grunge. I want it to be kind of smoky. So now I'm going to take that same brown color on that same flat brush. This is by Dominique Cosmetics, by the way. And I'm going to place this in the very inner corner of my lid. Once again, keeping in mind that I have relatively close set eyes. So taking it out here, making this area dark is going to make it look even more close set. So I'm placing it on the lid in the very inner corner of the lid. I'm going to bring it kind of tapping into the center. And then bringing it up just above where my eyelid creases. So when I look forward, I kind of want to see it just above that line. So this, putting that dark shade there is really, really pushing that area in, okay? I'm gonna do the same thing with the lower lash line. So I'm gonna use that same brush and shadow, but I'm using just the side of it. And I'm going to place this in the inner corner the lower lash line once again, trying not to take it in too far in the inner corner. But I want to create that definition. Now, at this point, you kind of want to assess what's happening here. Where's the contrast? Oh, I hit my mic, sorry. Where's the contrast? Do you have nice balance? Right now, it's kind of unbalanced. Like I have quite a bit of darkness in here and I have nice contrast down here, but this area is like ever so slightly lighter and I don't mind it. I think it's kind of a look, but if you feel like this is sort of doing the opposite of what you want it to do, you can build up that contrast up here. So I'm gonna use that same brush and I am going to make this a little more concentrated. So I'm really gonna build up the contrast of that brown, sort of connecting it into that inner area. And I'm gonna draw it out a little bit because I love that shape. Like I loved that shape that we were creating. Now for this, you can connect it to the lower lash line. You can kind of like swoop it out. I'm just gonna kind of like swoop it out, I think. So now you want to assess what we got going on. Where are the lights? What is left undone, you know? Like what's blank, basically. So obviously I don't have anything in here. I don't have anything in the center of my lid. So I want to change that. Now, I actually really love the way this looks with this like light, you know, this light part of the lid. It's kind of like this, what's that called? I don't want to use the word reverse. What's it called? Negative space. It's almost like negative space. There are so many beautiful colors in here. I want to use at least a couple of them. But it would be really cool to just go in with this like matte vanilla shade all over the lid and like really intensify that contrast. Like that would look really beautiful. Or I can pretty much fill in the whole thing with a shimmer. Like I can kind of just like pat a shimmer all over. I just got a really cool idea, so I'm gonna do that instead. So what I'm gonna do is I am gonna grab this matte white. This is just fun, okay? I'm literally just playing with makeup and I'm showing you how I do it, okay? I'm enjoying myself, I hope you are. So I'm gonna use the Dream Cream Color brush, from, once again by Sigma. Just a flat brush, you can use any flat brush. And I'm gonna pick up Embrace. I'm gonna focus it on the tip of the brush. Dude, I have to recreate this on the other side. That's gonna be difficult. I'm like, am I gonna remember everything that I did? And for this part, like the outer part, I'm gonna kind of like intensify that contrast. So I'm placing it underneath that dark brown. Way to finish your sentence. I'm gonna take it down onto the like outer corner of the lid and I'm kind of create like a highlight here. Blending here, but keeping it like sharper on the top. Now using my Refer 21 brush, which is once again just another flat brush, I'm gonna pick up Mesmerized. Oh, fuck. Mesmerized. I'm gonna pick up this. It's like, oh Jesus. It's kind of like Max Blue Brown pigment, but it's like less blue. It's more like turquoisey green. I don't know how well you guys can see that. It's dope as fuck. Oh shit, should I use my finger? I'm gonna use my finger to start. And I'm gonna fill in the gaps. So anywhere that I don't have eyeshadow. So I'm gonna place it like right in that inner, like the inner part of the lid. And then I don't wanna cover things. So I'm just gonna tap it into those browns. I wanna keep it like relatively tight. I can go in with a brush and blend if I want, which I'm probably going to. So I'm gonna build it up here. And then I'm just going to do some light tapping so that I'm not covering up that vanilla, but I also want it to be blended. All right, I'm gonna do Mesmerized in the center of my lower lash line, just where there isn't any shadow. And then I'm gonna pick up Embrace, that white matte shade, and I'm going to use that in my inner corner. I'm gonna bring it up. So once again, you're looking for, why are you not focused? So once again, you're looking for balance here. So I have the white matte on the outer part and I'm bringing it into the inner part. I have that shimmer going right down like the center, essentially, of my eye. Just going back in with that white on a little blender. I believe this is the e.l.f. Detail Crease brush. Blending into that shimmer. So it got kind of overpowered. Don't be afraid to go back and forth. And then you can decide once again, just kind of assess, what do I need here? What will create more balance? What do I feel like I need? Is this too much? Does it need more, you know? All right, guys, so this is the finished look. I popped on some, I don't know why I did false lashes, but I did. I did mascara and lashes. The lashes that I'm wearing are, oh shit, where's the top? Second Nature by, I think these are Velour. Let me know what you think of this in the comments down below. Is this something that you would wear? I had fun creating it. All right, guys, this was kind of random, but I feel like this should be a series, to be completely honest. Like, maybe we can do, I mean, this was like a lot of different looks, to be completely honest, in one, but maybe we can do a cut crease, we could do a smoky eye, we can do like something colorful or rainbow, or I don't know, whatever you guys want to see. Let me know. I think it can be really helpful to see like how someone creates an eyeshadow look if you are feeling sort of just like lost. If you're like, I don't understand how or where to start, what to start with. Let me know what you want to see next. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go. Bye. Okay, wait, before I go, game time decision. Dude, it made it look so much more sultry and dope. I put the Lancome Leading Lights Glitter Eyeliner on my waterline. Sultry and dope, dude. Totally complements this look. All right, that's it, bye. That's the liner. Okay, bye.